Welcome in, everybody, to my worst nightmare. I would rather my gentleman's region be cut off than have to redo this wonderful race you're about to see. Get your barf bags ready. It's going to get nasty, but to start us off, this is the BMW Pro Car Spec Hopper. So everybody's in the same car, level playing field, same upgrades, but you can still tune the car and make those little adjustments. In this particular race, starting P1, and I had the wonderful pleasure of driving with what can only be described as a bunch of Game Pass noobs, and oh, there's one now, spinning me out and driving away. Fucking bastard. But you know what? I picked myself up, gave the screen a couple of middle fingers, as I like to do, and kept going. But there is a bigger problem. I've basically been released into a zoo enclosure with a bunch of sweaty animals, and they all want to rip my face off and send me nasty Xbox messages about my mother. So my fall from grace will unfortunately continue this race, which is a 15-lapper, by the way, around Silverstone, the international variation, and if all goes to plan, we'll be making a scheduled pit stop at the end of lap 8, get some new tires. They're just stock tires we're running, nothing fancy, so no need to make any big tire choices. As we come into Vale, things are starting to get bunched up. We've got some close quarters racing here in the mid-pack. Not always a good thing when you're trying to make your way to the front because this guy completely loses control of the car after some contact. Everyone's lost control of their car after some contact, and now I'm in the sand. I'll look back and it's a disaster. So much smoke. I think everyone's getting second-hand high, which is leading to more crashes. They're still playing pinball, setting high scores, and eventually things do settle down. I can find my way back onto the track, lose another position, gain it back though, luckily, and hold 16th place. Not great. So it has been the perfect start. In fact, I probably should have rage quit, but I didn't. I kept it going, and eventually, halfway through lap 2, caught up to this group of 3 as we're rounding Stowe, getting past one on the inside, pulling up alongside the Gen Xer heading into Vale, a little tap and he's gone deep. I'll happily take that spot from him. 13th has been benefiting from the fighting that's been going on back here, built up a small gap, but around Club, the car gets a little out of shape. We'll have a nice run on him down the straight, and there you go. Done and dusted. That's 13th place. So we're making up some spots. Those were some clean passes, and I'll take it. There was about a 4-second gap to 12th place, and at the start of lap 4, managed to close that up, but not without some eventful sliding through turn 1. Someone was actually spun out and ghosted on the turn, so through all my sliding, we actually managed to grab a free position. Go figure. Through the left-hander, making space on the inside for Spotty Tube, getting around him, and back to the right, we're going to get a run on Tag Mixer, who is clearly a gentleman full of sportsmanship because he'll slowly pull over to the left and run me over the grass. A kind fella. Skipping to that same turn on lap 5, I'll get the better exit again, but Tag is going to lose the car. Back end's got squirrely on him, and like a magnet, he's come across and tagged me off into the grass. But I managed to bounce it off the wall pretty nicely there, get back onto the track, and make a pass up into the top 10. So a couple new scratches on the car to go along with a couple new positions. I think that's good business. I'll take it. Coming through the chicane again, this was a weird one. 8th was off the racing line, moving slow on the exit, so I slipped up the inside, kind of expecting him to accelerate back out wide. He didn't. We collided, and the car kind of dramatically swerved to the left. I didn't feel like there was much there, so I kept going. The perfect Forza penalty system thought it was clean, so there's no arguing it. It must have been. This is lap 8, so I'm dipping into the pits. We've got an incident up front, both of them trying to go too wide into the very thin pit lane road. And now this pervert's just getting carried by this other guy while he performs sex acts. I don't know. It looks weird. Is that joke old yet? I feel like everyone makes that joke. These Forza glitches have just poisoned our brains. We see 2 cars on top of each other now, instantly think, car sex. Which honestly is kind of funny. It is kind of funny. Anyways, we jump out of the pits in 9th. The sit rep is first place, about 11.5, almost 12 seconds ahead now. That'll be tough to make up for with the remaining laps, but around the outside of 1, moving over to the left to try to take a better line around the right-hander. On to the hanger straight. Loki's going to stay just enough to the right for me to stay in the draft, and he'll give me a really nice tow straight around Zims, and actually enough to have me thinking about a move up the inside into the braking zone. I've completely botched it, though. He goes around the outside. I do get a nice bump from behind, though. Thank you for that. That'll keep me close to him. Even with my terrible attempt to end an overtake on 6th place, things are starting to look a little bit brighter as the guy from behind almost goes for a late move up the inside. That could have changed things. I could very well be facing the wrong way if he actually did go for the move. Fortunately, he didn't, and as things sit right now, we'll cross the final corner and cross the line to start lap 10, sitting in 7th place, past a couple guys, making some late pit stops, getting on their new tires. So the overall outlook on this race is actually getting a little brighter. That was probably the worst race start I've ever had, but with these 6 laps to go, I think we can make a push for top 5, maybe more. Just got to get around Loki, who, believe it or not, we're actually getting a good race from in the middle of the pack. So whoever says you can't have a good race in the middle of the pack, they're lying. Obviously, continuing to be absolute shit under braking isn't helping at all, so onto the hanger straight, Loki would pull away. We'll skip to the start of lap 11 around turn 1. Loki will make a little mistake here, drifting wide over the curb onto the grass, coming into the hairpin, making sure to leave some space on the inside for him. That's the move done, although it will force me to adjust my line around the left-hander, so we'll take that a little slower, get to the left, and get a good run out onto the straight once again. Someone making their way back onto the track, so I'll pull over, grab some draft from them, get up alongside. Looks like they're moving to the right, so I'll pull off to the left, and then I start getting squeezed almost onto the grass this time. That happened a couple laps ago, so I whip out the elbows, give them a nice shot to the gut, let them know it's not happening again. I am done getting bullied this race. We're setting the tone now. Loki peeking up the inside. He'll get ahead of me. I fall back into 7th. Now he's getting squeezed to the outside. We're getting some hard racing from Conca Bar 7 as we come through Vale for the 11th time. Loki not having any of it, just pushing him out of the way. I like the racing there. Now we can resume our fight like just a lap ago, and I won't waste any time making the overtake, crossing the line, starting lap 12, heading into turn 1 on the inside. He'll make an effort to try to hold it along the outside, but it's not quite there. We got the move done. We're up into 5th, so officially in the top 5. If I can hold off the return move into the hairpin, that'll pretty much seal the deal, and there you go. That'll leave about 3.5 laps left to try to catch up to the guys ahead. End of lap 13. Some guy would leave, so I jump up into 4th place, one step closer to that podium finish I'm looking for, and on the last lap, I've caught up to 3rd. Mr. Dennis is a second ahead. He's also got a second worth of penalty time, so I don't need to get too aggressive. When we cross the finish line, I just need to be within his general vicinity. I don't need to get the overtake done, but to be safe, I'd like to get it done. Some more good news for us is that Loki is about 7 seconds behind with that added penalty time, so we won't have to worry about a third party getting involved. Accelerating hard out of the corner, taking advantage of all that track they give you on the outside. You do have to be careful there because they have cones set up to show you where the track boundaries are, but that's not actually where the track boundaries are. They're about 5 feet in front of those cones, so you do have to be careful. It doesn't make much sense to me, but we stayed within them there, and all that extra speed pulled me right up onto the back of Dennis, and you bet your ass he knows the situation that's going on here. He somehow needs to find an extra second with the last 2 corners to go to keep 3rd place, and it's not looking good for him. Final corner coming up. He's got some oversteer, slowing the car quite a bit. I'll pull up alongside. He's trying to push me off track, but what Dennis doesn't know is I've been bullied all race, and I'm ready to throw some haymakers. I am fully prepared. And so we crossed the line after throwing a couple punches, and it's going to be a 3rd place. An absolutely unreal race. What looked like it was going to be the worst race I had ever had turned out to be a pretty fun comeback, and I did end up losing 2 spots in the grand scheme of things, but overall I felt like I went from last to 1st in that race. Showed some perseverance for once in my life and came away with the podium. I'll end things off on another clip from Hockenheim that I think really fits the whole theme of the video. I'm around turn 1 fine, but a tap from behind has me fishtailing left to right, left to right. I'm still getting pinballed, but also somehow still facing forward until now. Pretty naturally, I found my way into last place, but this wasn't the only clip I wanted to show you from this race. There was one more as we're coming down the Parabolica. This is the shorter version, so instead of going all the way down into the hairpin, we're going to peel off to the right and take this shortcut, which was to the advantage of this missile strike that sent one of the BMWs flying into the barrier. That guy most likely getting some revenge for something that happened earlier on in the race. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, do all the stuff the YouTubers tell you to do at the ends of videos, and I will talk to you soon. Alrighty, bye everybody.